But then he took me through this trip, and I'm just going to take you through because it's so delicious as a teaching. Even if you've heard it, think of how many times I've heard it. This was in the early 70s when a number of people like Mira and Danny, and we were with Maharaji, Lama Surya Das. And we were kept in the back of the temple ashram. We were paraded in the bus in the morning. We got there, he'd be sitting outside, we'd have darshan, we'd hang around him and love him, and he'd throw fruit at us. And you were drunk with love, and everything he said to anybody applied to everybody. And then after about 5 minutes or a half hour, he'd say, "Jiao," and he'd throw us all in the back, where we were known as only useful for 5 things: drinking tea, gossiping, sleeping, eating, and moving about. That was our practice. So in the back of the ashram, that's all we do. And then late in the afternoon, we'd all be brought back just before the bus was leaving, have another time together, and then be thrown out. And in the course of the day, he'd call people up from the back. There was one woman who sang beautifully, so he'd call her up and say, "Sing," and she'd sing. It was like little performing animals, you know. You wind up and out come. We were the Westerners. You wind up and out you come. And so he had Indians coming, and they'd be hanging out, and he'd say, "You want to see a Westerner, you know, perform?" And we'd be brought forth. And some of us were scholars, and we'd be scholarly, and some of us were pundits who could recite Hindu things, and some of us could sing Hindu kirtan, and he'd bring us forth, you know. And I was like a professor from Harvard, and there I'd come. The fact I'd been thrown out was irrelevant to Maharaji, you know. So then one day he called me up, and each time you're getting called, you've been called out of this mass of unworthy people. You've been chosen to go up and be worthy. And so you rush up because you realize this is going to be your chance to get the juice. This is it, you know. And you run up and you kneel down and you look up. I mean, this is all a game. You understand. This is all forms. First, when I went to India, I thought, I'm not going to touch anybody's feet. Now I couldn't do it fast enough. I used to try to grab one of his feet, and then it would go under the blanket quick. And I'd think, I'm not pure enough. I mean, it was like, it's a whole routine you play out. So I go up and he'd look and he'd say, "Ram Das, love everyone." I'd say, "Yes, Maharaji." He'd say, "Jiao,